What is up, and welcome back to another episode of So There's That. I'm your hostess, doing the mostest, Kivanshi, and we are here. Season 3, Episode 2 of The Gilded Age. Name of the episode, What the Papers Say. And this episode is messy, but before we get into it, okay, I just want to shout out the director of episode 2 is Deborah Kampmeier, and the DP is Christopher Lavasseur. I have notes and they are here as a safety net. And I'll probably go over them at the end of this when I talk about my thoughts and all these other things at the end. But we're gonna just dive right in because when I tell you when I was watching this episode, I wanted to throw my phone out the highway. Like driving. I just picture myself driving and just tossing my phone out the window. Like that's how mad I was and just flabbergasted. So let's talk about who didn't get on my nerves this episode. Then we're gonna dive into the mess. Ciao. The mess. Okay, boom. The Scots show up and they bring Dr. Kirkland because there was a whole situation where Agnes's doctor didn't want to treat Peggy because she was black. So they come, they go see their daughter. He's there with the medicines. We're breaking all types of Hippocratic oath situations with flirting with your doctor and flirting with your patient. But I mean, it's cute. And Marion is peeping game, and she's a little happy for her friend because she's like, ew, my friend is not looking peckish anymore. Okay, she got that rich skin back, and the man is looking at her. And he wants to know about her business. He's not intimidated. Yes, girl. And in this episode, Dorothy Scott mentions how her cousin Athena and all of them up in Newport has been reading Peggy's work. Now, this is the first mention of Athena this season, who was played by Jessica Francis Dukes. So I'm super excited to hear her name in this episode, even though we don't really know what she's going to look like. And so, fanning out a little bit. Shout out to you, girl. But we get a mention of this, and Peggy's like, I would love to go. I would love to meet everybody, and it'll be a nice little vacation. So the Scots go down and they're getting ready to leave, and Agnes is like, have a seat. Everybody gone. Just want to chop it up, with my in-laws, because basically at this point, Agnes done adopted Peggy, and Dorothy's like, hey, um we got family that want to see her. Like, is everything gonna be cool? And Agnes was like, yeah, girl, like, what you asking me for? Like, just tell me when she gonna be gone and tell me when she gonna be back so I can adjust accordingly. And so the husband is looking at um Dorothy, and then they looking back at Agnes and they're like, you're a strange little white lady. What's up? Because people like you don't treat people like us in this way. And I genuinely enjoyed this conversation about racism, about slavery, about elitism, about the haves and the have-nots. So I loved how Agnes literally apologized for the doctor. She apologized that she thought that him knowing her and knowing how she was raised would extend to his kindness towards other people. And I really love that line because this is where you got like liberals, I don't know what I was going to say, liberals who feel like they're allies to Black people. And they feel like because they don't see color or whatever, they want to treat everybody equally and they're not racist. They feel like when they get married, well, if my partner knows that about me, then it'll extend to them. Or if my parents see how I'm moving, it extends to them. Or my siblings see how I'm moving, it extends to them. And so for a long time, when you don't really see your friends and your family have um, direct interactions with Black people or people of color, you just assume that they're like you until it's thrown in your face, like when the doctor showed up and Agnes and Ada were like, bro, what are you talking about? And he was like, yeah, I don't see colored people. And she's like, are you serious? You know who she is. She's worked with me. Like, you've been around her. Like, so now you can't do your job. And so I love that Agnes was immediately made aware of that and put a stop to it and apologized to Peggy's family, because Peggy could have died because of the situation, and Black people have died because of racist doctors, racist care, whether they're giving us the care to kill us or an absence of care that kills us in the first place. But this conversation between Agnes and the Scotts, it was just so beautiful. And even when the dad was like, people like you don't be taking over people like us, like, blame that on slavery. How you was raised don't erase slavery. And Agnes was like, you are right. And I do not understand what it is like to be Black, but Miss Dorothy, Mrs. Scott, I do know what it feels like to have a child who you think is going to die and there's nothing that you can do about it. I understand as a mother, even though I don't understand as a Black woman. And this was one of those things where it was just such a calling out of one's own ignorance, even though Ada and Agnes went to a Black school, even though their father raised them to actually embody equal rights and actually embody being good human beings. She was still able to recognize that all the other white people around me aren't like that. All the white people outside of this household, I don't have no say so over them, but I want you to know that it had nothing to do with your daughter's color of her skin. And the moment that doctor said that he wasn't going to treat her, I immediately sent word to y'all, because she is like a daughter to me and I did not want to watch her die. It was scary for me, as I imagine that it was scary for you on your journey here. So know that you have a sister in me. Peggy has a mom away from home in me, and I would never try to replace you. I'm just here to try to do my thing and change lives, like, one day at a time. So this interaction was on the end of a long day of when the Scots showed up in the first place. And Mrs. Armstrong, one of the workers, she was all like, y'all, it's some Black people upstairs in the foyer. And Miss Bauer was like, girl, so you acting like Black people ain't been in this house? Like, Peggy's literally been living with us for like ages. And she was like, well, I'm just saying, the world that I grew up in is turning up on itself and it's all upside down and I don't even know what it is. I'm just saying what everybody else thinking. And the younger lady, I cannot think of her name right now. Somebody gonna tell me in the comments. She was like, I wasn't thinking that, girl. And Miss Armstrong was like, but y'all. And Mrs. Bauer said, hold on, because I wrote this down because I had to quote it. She said, I don't want to hear another thing out of your mouth unless it's nice, which it never is. So I trust you to keep it shut. And I said, gather her in her things, in her swoop, bang, because lady, shut up. So then she goes over, Bannister, you're just gonna let her talk to me any old kind of way? And he was like, yeah, girl, shut up. We over here trying to figure out who is the head of this household, and you over here talking about two Black people in the foyer. Their daughter is Black. What did you expect the mamas and the daddies to be? What did you expect, girl? Shut up. And I just love that, because again, it goes into what I said in last week when I was first introduced to the series, is that we really tackle an integrated cast and not throwing away the reality of slavery, colorism, throwing away just, the Black people side and the white people side. We're not getting rid of that for the sake of this drama fantasy period piece, but we're doing it in a way where your primary characters, that's not what they stand for. And so because they don't stand for it, you really get to see the storyline of wanted to build an Amtrak, basically. You get to really see the storyline of suffrage, period. You really get to see the storyline of women's rights and what that looks like and having places in society and divorce. So now that the Gilded Age has established itself as we're not about to be out here calling everybody the N-word, we're going to respectfully integrate Black people into our storylines while also making them primary characters, because that's what we're going to do. Then you get to fully immerse yourself in this without feeling like you're going to be alienated or ostracized in the writing of this show. And I just think that that is so beautiful. Another thing that I love, baby Jack is getting an opportunity with Larry. Now, Marion, she loves Larry and she loves sneaking on the side, but she was like, you're not about to be speaking in front of Jack. What's wrong with his lips? Because last I checked, he could talk. He's talking right now. And Jack was like, no, like he knows more speak or whatever. I'll just be there and he can present the things. And I just hope and pray Larry doesn't take Jack's idea, but can present this in front of the investors and say, like, I'm just here as basically like his publicist, his manager, his marketing, whatever. But he is the brain, he is the inventor, and he is the idea. So far from what I've seen of Larry, with my own two eyes, he doesn't seem like the type of person that will undercut Jack in that way. And Jack needs somebody like Larry on his side, especially after last week when Adelaide, oh hey Nas, was trying to tell him that he reaching too far ahead of his pay grade. Jack don't need that in his life, okay? And that turns Marion on. She's like, oh my God, my man, my man, my man. And Larry is equally turned on because he does not balk at Marion questioning him in front of other people, even when she questions his thought process in front of other men. And so you really get to see the nature of their relationship in that dating phase that she's trying to say, like, you know, it's only been a few months since I dumped this other dude. Really like you, so let's see what it is. And Larry is flirtatiously patient, but you get to see him fall more and more in love with her mind. And you really get to see them have a type of relationship that is the stark opposite of a relationship like Aurora and Charles. And we're going to get there, but I'm talking about all the good things right now. So really loving like their relationship dynamic and what that looks like in the face of everybody else. And I mean everybody. And then you have the other side of it with Larry's sister, Gladys, trying to have this same type of newness, this same type of new love, this bold love where you get to choose it on your own with Billy. And her mama is hell bent on shutting that shit down. And so you got old money versus new money where it pertains to the Van Rhynes / the Brooks and the Russells. And even Billy Fulton's mom, I think Fulton, Mrs. Carlson, they having like old money too, you know, even her flexing the fact that her dad signed the Declaration of Independence, like, Big Bertha, where was your daddy at? Nothing. Slinging dough because he worked in a restaurant. I don't know where her daddy worked. I'm just making shit up. And so you got this whole dichotomy of like old versus new, but then you also still have like the old love and what that looks like for a woman being pushed into society versus new love, where people like Marion and Gladys want to choose their mate regardless of the financial implications in the future. So all of these things are going around in a circle with the comedic elements of this whole like anti-alcohol thing that Ada trying to get everybody to sign. Like she went up to Marion of all people and was like, hey girl, can you sign this? And Marion was like, listen, Ada, love you down. Genuinely don't understand what beef you got with pairing a fine steak with some tasty wine. I don't understand that. Can't get behind it. And so then she goes and asks all of the staff members if they would sign it too. After Aurora basically shut the whole thing down, like, hey, Ada's running the staff. They work for her. Agnes, you just gonna have to get over it, girl. Get over it. This is still your house. Like, let Ada do her own thing. She needs a cause. She needs to do something. Her man is dead and she is a bored widow. Like, damn. And so Bannister takes it downstairs and they talking through everything. And Jack is like, okay, so she don't want us to drink in the house, but we can still drink like at the tavern. And Mrs. Bauer was like, the cause is the cause in and out of this house. And so Jack is like, yeah, I'm not signing that shit. Miss Bauer is like, I'm not signing it. Who signed it? Oh, Armstrong. And she's just doing this to make everybody else mad. But so far, it doesn't look like Ada is trying to force the people in the house to do this. And she's really about them having choice and autonomy, even though they work for her. So I'm hoping this don't turn into a thing because it looked like she getting real mad that don't nobody else want to go down this path with her, girl. You don't need to force your beliefs on everybody for them to believe in you, and be happy that you have a cause. So I really see this turning into like some type of Bible thumping thing for Ada as a storyline. And I think it's going to cause a rift in the household and with her sister Agnes. And I just see, even though now the house has been told Ada is running things and she's the one who's signing their paycheck, so they should listen to her for executive decisions, I can see her persistence, especially in her house with this cause, dividing them all over again. And this might push Marion into staying over at the Russells more and more. And I mean, her man live over there anyway, so it is what it is. Now, did I get through everybody that made me happy this episode? I think so. Let's talk about, you know what? Let's talk about this because it's not even the biggest gag, but it is the second biggest gag. Gladys ran out looking like Red Robin Hood, and she went to Billy's house, but Billy mama was like, girl, you're not finna have your mama thinking I kidnapped you. So hell no. We finna send word, okay, back through the carrier pigeon, and your mama finna come over here. But Mrs. Carlton was trying to have like a regular conversation with Big Bertha, and Big Bertha was like, she's never marrying your son. You're literally a fucking nobody. I got more money than you now. So if I gotta deal with this again, it's gonna be a problem. Gladys, get your ass in the carriage right now. Take this bird's nest on the top of your head, duck underneath so you don't hurt yourself, and get up in there. And the tension could be cut with a samurai sword. That's the only thing that would be able to break through the walls that was in this. And going back to Gladys's story in context with cinematography, when this episode opened up, everybody's looking and realizing that Gladys is not in her room. I loved how when all of the servants were converging in the foyer, the pan out to kind of show like the frantic nature of what's going on downstairs, the frantic nature of what's coming on upstairs, and from the left and the right of the screen was so beautifully done. And so then now you have them sitting in the carriage where Gladys is on one side of the carriage and her mom is on the opposite side, but not directly in front of her. And you really get to see visually that they are enemies at this point. So really with the cinematography and the direction of their storyline, specifically how they're framing these things, is incredible and really hammered home what is about to go on in the Russell household, and really highlights that this relationship and this power that Big Bertha thinks she has in her marriage, she is going to be the reason that she creates chaos with George as well, because she's been lying to him. And when he brings it up, he was like, I said that she can have a love match. Like, we literally talked about this before I left, and now I'm gone. What, you just thought that you was going to do all this stuff behind my back in the hopes that I would still be gone when this happened? And he was like, when do I get a say? And she was like, well, you can have a say so over our child and in this household if I get a say so about this railroad. And so now you're introducing an ultimatum in a relationship where, based on the things that I've seen on the internet, people love them because they have genuine love for one another. But now she's making unilateral decisions because of whatever insecurity and fear that's in her. And you done leaked to the newspapers that your daughter is engaged to the Duke. And you sitting over here like, no, that's just rumors. But when he shows up over twice her age, not really that attractive, talking about, yeah, my lawyer is here, let's go sit down for dinner. And your husband looking at you and he's like, girl, what the hell is going on? I thought you told me everything. She's like, well, now you know everything. Come on, Duke, let's go have dinner. And Billy done just broke up with Gladys because Gladys threatened his mom and was like, if they continue this, not only will your son never be able to have a job, but we will disinherit our daughter. This is a conversation that George has no idea is being had behind his back. So on the heels of Gladys having her whole world turned upside down and hearing this legal talk, she's looking at her dad and she's like, what are we going to do? What the hell is going on? And he was like, I don't know what's going on, but I bet you we gonna find the fuck out, because whatever your mama got going on, I'm putting my foot down, okay? Putting them down, both buckles to the ground. Now, you might think like, That was a crazy ending to this episode. I don't even understand why that was the ending, because the thing that gagged me, one Charles Chuck Cellophane showed his ass up to Aurora's party at the house with his side piece. Yeah. What? Aurora done walked around here. Now, mind you, I don't know this lady name, but we just gonna call her the town gossip, because she was going from skirt to skirt, from petticoat to petticoat, literally trying to pick up on information and asking specific questions so that she could try to get tea. Okay, who does she think she is? Lady Whistledown? Probably. So she's walking around, and Aurora's like, oh, he's come down with a little illness. It is what it is. He's chilling. And then, oh girl, Lady Whistledown, she comes back and she's like, damn, this is the fastest recovery for a cold I've ever seen in my life. And who is that he's sitting next to, girl? You should be wise not to stand next to him lest you catch the same cold. And so Aurora goes over there. Mind you, that line gagged me, though. I ain't gonna even hold you. I ain't gonna even hold you. But Aurora goes over there and she was like, what the hell are you doing? And he was like, I'm in my house. And she's like, well, everybody's going to think a certain thing of me. Like, how dare you bring her here? And he was like, yeah, that's what I want people to think. I told you that I want a divorce. And since you're not going to give it to me, I'm just going to flaunt this shit in your face. So you're going to be the ridicule of the town regardless. So you either going to give me what I want, or we just going to have this dance. And she's like, that is so tacky. And he was like, she did tell me it was a little tacky, but I care more about hurting you than either one of y'all bitches' feelings. So everything is about me and my penis and what I want in society. So you better do what I said, or I'm going to make everything hell. And in this moment, I feel if we would have got a dream sequence of her taking the hairpin out of her hair and stabbing him on the left side of his neck and slicing it over to the right, we would have been justified in this fantasy being intercut into this entire scenario, because you got me fucked up. You got me fucked up, Mr. Fane. I really need him to walk out, check his pocket watch real quick, and get run over by a 4-horse drawn carriage. I need the spokes in the wheels to demolish him and drag his ass through the town. And I need the horses to be so spooked that they don't listen to the whoa, whoa, and they just dragging his ass around town like a public lynching. And I need for his face to be utterly unrecognizable at the end. And I need Aurora to come out and say, finally, I inherit all of your riches. Fuck you. That is what I would love. I would love. It's Team Aurora all day, every day. Okay. And that's on what? Period. So there's that. Season 3, episode 2, The Gilded Age, what the papers say. And the papers is saying a hell of a lot. And next week, I hope them papers say that Charles Fane has died from a mysterious illness, and all it was is Aurora made him his favorite tea, and then they do like a shot of the camera just doing a slow pan in on like some oleander or something. I'm just saying. Like, there's lots of herbs in this time period, and they don't have the science to detect for why he would go in the first place. So I just feel like let's take advantage of the 1800s right quick and give my sis a whole new storyline, because I cannot take another episode of her with the furrowed brow, with the angst, and with the anguish. This man ain't even doing her the courtesy of cheating in peace. He's rubbing it in her face, and she don't deserve that. And if that don't happen, Ada, Marion, and Agnes need to just pull up, break his knees real quick, shatter the bones, let him rock crooked for the rest of his life, and let his new girl be like, I didn't sign up to be taking care of nobody for the rest of my life. I went to get taken care of. And then I need her to go over to Aurora and be like, girl, He told me that y'all were already done. I am so sorry. And then I need them to at least be cordial with one another. And Aurora can invite her for tea and crumpets and sneak in some white wine or something. And they can come to like an amicable like existence with one another at the expense of Charles Fane. That is what I would like. Those are the things that I hope to come in this season. But Gladys, I mean, not Gladys, Bertha girl. Bertha. Your sex is only going to do so much to keep George out of your business because she has done something that I feel is going to take them down the path where the fans are probably going to see a potential risk and fear of a dissolution of their marriage. Even if they don't divorce because of society, because of everything that he's trying to do with this train, in that household ain't gonna be no love no more. And so all the stuff that I've been seeing and all the fan edits I've been seeing on Twitter and their love, it's one for the ages, ain't gonna be one. Not after this episode. I don't see a path where Bertha can use her body and her wit to get George to see where she is coming from. And because it's creating a divide between her children, that's going to create a divide between him and her because he loves his children. He is not your typical man of the times. He is all in with his family. He married her for love. And to see that she's falling into societal ways now that she got a little money, are these actually her true colors? And is she who he thought he married? I don't know. Y'all tell me what y'all think in the comments, okay? This is going to wrap up this episode. Y'all already know. Like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Leave comments in the comments box below. If you got people that only want to listen to me, go ahead and share the Spotify and the Apple Podcast link. You can also find me on TikTok where I do recaps and reviews on shows that I do not cover on here. And that's going to be at Givenchy. You can also find me on Instagram where I do a bunch of film and TV updates at So There's That Podcast. And you can also find me talking about any and everything film and TV on Twitter at Givenchy. And I'll be on there every Sunday live tweeting as well. So catch up with your girl. All right. All right. And I am out.